Rain hammered the glass walls of the Celestial Crown Hotel. Inside, chandeliers burned like frozen suns. Champagne flowed, diamonds glittered, and Ethan Vale stood beneath 1,000 mocking eyes while the woman he had loved for 7 years held another man's arm. Sophia Hart looked radiant. Cruelty suited her. Her white dress clung to her body like a wedding gown, though the wedding had once been promised to Ethan. The ring he had bought her still rested on her finger. Beside her stood Adrian Blackwood, heir to the Blackwood fortune. His watch cost more than Ethan had earned in his entire life. His smile was polished. His gaze was filth. Sophia raised her glass. "I invited you because you deserve to hear it in person." Ethan said nothing. Water dripped from his worn coat. His shoes were cracked. He had rushed through the storm after receiving her message, believing she was finally ready to discuss their marriage. He had even brought the contract for the tiny apartment they had dreamed of buying together. That contract now felt heavier than a coffin. Sophia leaned closer to Adrian. "Our engagement is over." The ballroom erupted in whispers. Some guests laughed openly. Ethan looked at the ring on her hand. "You could have returned that first." Sophia glanced down, and she laughed. It was a bright sound, sharp enough to cut flesh. "Returned it?" She raised her hand for everyone to see. "This little thing?" "Adrian's driver spends more than this on fuel." The crowd laughed harder. Adrian wrapped an arm around her waist. "Do not embarrass her, Ethan." His voice carried the lazy confidence of a man who had never been refused. "She has already wasted enough years pretending poverty was romantic." Sophia's smile hardened. "I was young. I was stupid. I thought loyalty mattered." Her eyes swept over Ethan from head to toe. "Then I grew up." Every word landed with careful precision. "You work in a basement office. You wear the same suit to every occasion. You count coins before ordering dinner. You promised me a future. But all you ever gave me was patience." Ethan watched her quietly. He remembered the nights she had cried in his arms. He remembered paying her father's hospital bills. He remembered selling his mother's final necklace so Sophia could finish university. He remembered eating bread and water for weeks so she could attend business school with wealthy classmates. Sophia knew all of it. That was why her next words were chosen to destroy him. "You were useful when I had nothing." The ballroom fell silent. Even Adrian looked amused by the brutality. Sophia stepped closer. Her perfume was the same one Ethan had bought her on their anniversary. "But now I have options." She slipped the engagement ring from her finger. For one breath, Ethan thought she might return it. Instead, she dropped it into a glass of champagne. The ring vanished beneath golden bubbles. "Consider that your final contribution to my life." Laughter exploded around him. Phones rose. Cameras flashed. Ethan's humiliation became entertainment before his eyes. A young socialite near the stage whispered loudly, "Someone should remove him before he stains the carpet." Another replied, "No, let him stay. Poor people need to see what ambition looks like." Adrian lifted the glass containing Ethan's ring. He examined it with theatrical disgust. Then he poured the champagne onto the marble floor. The ring struck the ground with a tiny metallic sound. Adrian stepped on it. His polished shoe twisted. His band bent. Sophia did not flinch. Ethan lowered his gaze. Not in defeat. He was looking at his reflection in the spilled champagne. A thin man. A tired man. A man who had given everything and kept nothing. He had believed sacrifice created loyalty. He had believed love remembered hunger. He had believed a promise could survive wealth. He had been wrong. A waiter approached. "Sir, you need to leave." Adrian raised one finger. "Wait." He reached into his jacket and removed a thick envelope. He tossed it at Ethan's feet. Bills spilled across the wet marble. Compensation. Ethan stared at the money. Adrian smiled. "For taking care of Sophia until someone qualified arrived." The crowd roared. Sophia covered her mouth as if the joke were too delightful to bear. Ethan crouched. The laughter grew louder. They thought he was gathering the bills. Instead, he picked up the crushed ring. He wiped champagne from it with his thumb. Sophia's face twisted. "Do not act sentimental. It is pathetic." Ethan stood. His expression was calm. Too calm. He placed the ruined ring in his pocket. Then he looked at her, not with rage, not with grief. With recognition. He finally saw her. Not the woman he had loved, not the future he had protected. A transaction. It's a bad investment. Sophia frowned. Something in his eyes unsettled her. "What are you looking at?" Ethan's lips curved. It was not a warm smile. It carried no heartbreak, only a blade hidden beneath snow. "I was wondering how much your happiness costs." Adrian laughed. "More than you can afford." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then I hope he never misses a payment." Sophia's face darkened. "Get out." Ethan turned. No argument, no pleading, no final confession. That disturbed her more than tears would have. She had expected him to collapse. She had imagined him begging. She wanted proof that she was still the center of his world. Instead, he walked away as though leaving a grave. Outside, the storm swallowed him. Thunder rolled over the city. His phone buzzed before he reached the street. A message appeared from his landlord. Rent overdue. Another followed. Employment terminated. He stopped beneath the hotel awning. His former manager's name glowed on the screen. Ethan answered. A nervous voice spoke quickly. "Do not take this personally. Blackwood Holdings acquired our company this afternoon. Your position was eliminated." Ethan looked back through the glass. Adrian stood inside with one hand around Sophia's waist. The rich man raised his champagne glass in salute. It had not been enough for him. He wanted Ethan broken, homeless, invisible. Ethan ended the call. Another message arrived. His bank account had been frozen because of a disputed loan, a loan he had never taken. The borrower's signature carried Sophia's name as guarantor, and his identity as the debtor. She had used the documents he trusted her to keep. She had prepared his ruin before announcing her betrayal. The rain struck harder. His breath became steam. For the first time that night, something hot moved beneath his ribs. Not sorrow. Murderous clarity. A black car rolled to the curb. Adrian's driver stepped out. He carried a cardboard box. The man dropped it into a puddle. Ethan recognized the contents. His clothes, his books, his mother's photograph. Sophia had emptied the apartment they once shared. The driver sneered. Miss Hart said you should be grateful she did not burn it. The car drove away. A tire rolled over the photograph. The frame shattered. Ethan knelt in the rain. He lifted the picture from the gutter. His mother's face was split beneath cracked glass. She had died believing Sophia would become family. Ethan closed his eyes. The city roared around him. Cars passed. People hurried by. No one cared. His phone screen flickered. The battery was nearly dead. And the darkness lit with a line of silver text. Host, despair threshold reached. Ethan stared. A second line appeared. Betrayal confirmed. Financial destruction confirmed. Social humiliation confirmed. Revenge eligibility approved. His eyes narrowed. The words remained. A cold mechanical voice sounded inside his mind. Trillionaire Retaliation System awakening. Ethan did not move. Rainwater ran down his face. The voice continued. Initial compensation package available. Would the host like to claim it? Ethan's lips twitched. He had not slept properly in days. He considered hallucination. Trauma. Madness. Then his frozen bank application opened without his touch. The negative balance vanished. Numbers began to move. They did not stop. Thousands became millions. Millions became billions. Billions multiplied until the display could no longer fit the balance. A private banking interface replaced the ordinary screen. Account authority recognized. Global reserve access granted. Ethan's heartbeat remained steady. He did not shout. He did not laugh. He asked one question in silence. What is the price? The system answered immediately. No price. No morality requirement. No heroic obligation. One rule only. Every act of revenge conducted through financial dominance will generate exponential rewards. A new notification appeared. Beginner mission. Within 1 day, acquire the Celestial Crown Hotel. Reward upon completion. Ownership of the Apex Sovereign Fund. Ethan looked up. The hotel towered above him. It was the pride of the Blackwood hospitality empire. Adrian had bragged about owning a controlling interest during Sophia's birthday dinner. Tonight he had used its ballroom as a stage. Tomorrow Ethan would take the stage away. A black luxury sedan stopped nearby. Not Adrian's car. This one bore no emblem. The rear door opened. An elderly man in a dark suit stepped into the rain. He approached Ethan and bowed deeply. Mr. Vale. Ethan studied him. The man held out a titanium card. No bank name, no limit. Only Ethan's initials engraved across its surface. I am Marcus Wren, chief executor of your newly activated assets. Ethan accepted the card. Marcus continued. Your liquid holdings exceed the total valuation of several nations. Your investment network includes controlling positions across energy, defense, medicine, logistics, artificial intelligence, mining, real estate, and private banking. Ethan looked through the hotel windows again. Sophia was dancing with Adrian. She was smiling, carefree, certain. Marcus lowered his voice. Would you like me to destroy the Blackwood family tonight? Ethan's answer came without hesitation. No. Marcus raised his eyes. Ethan carefully removed the broken photograph from its ruined frame. Quick destruction is mercy. His voice was quiet. The storm nearly swallowed it. I want them comfortable. He placed the photograph inside his coat. I want them arrogant. He watched Sophia kiss Adrian beneath the chandelier. I want them to climb so high that the clouds convince them they are gods. The silver text shimmered again. Hidden mission detected. Create the perfect fall. Reward multiplier activated. Ethan's smile deepened. Buy the hotel through silent proxies. Marcus bowed. At what price? Whatever makes the current owners celebrate. Marcus understood. A cruel transaction needed willing victims. Ethan continued. Keep Adrian's family in management. For how long? Until they believe they won. Marcus's expression became almost respectful. And Miss Hart? Ethan looked at the ballroom one final time. She had moved on from mocking him. That was good. She should forget the coldness in his eyes. She should sleep peacefully. She should dream of wedding invitations, private islands, and servants kneeling at her feet. She should spend freely, borrow heavily, insult everyone beneath her. The system opened a translucent panel only Ethan could see. Sophia Hart, current net worth, negligible. Current debt exposure, severe. Primary weakness, vanity. Secondary weakness, fear of poverty. Adrian Blackwood, current personal assets, overstated. Family corporation debt, catastrophic. Primary weakness, arrogance. Secondary weakness, dependence on hidden loans. Ethan read every line. Then another appeared. Critical secret discovered. Blackwood Holdings will collapse if denied emergency refinancing at the end of the month. Recommended retaliation route available. Acquire creditor network. Extend temporary confidence. Trigger total liquidation at peak exposure. Ethan almost laughed. The system did not merely give him wealth. It gave him the anatomy of his enemies. Every artery, every weakness, every place to cut. Not touch Sophia, Ethan said. Marcus waited. Not yet. He handed the titanium card back, then changed his mind and slipped it into his pocket. Arrange a small apartment. Marcus looked surprised. You own residences across the world. I know. Ethan stepped into the waiting car. But a poor man becoming rich overnight attracts attention. Understanding flashed across Marcus's face. Ethan leaned back against the leather seat. Tomorrow, I remain unemployed. Yes, sir. I remain abandoned. Yes, sir. I remain the joke from tonight. Marcus closed the door. Through the rain-streaked glass, Ethan saw the crushed bills still scattered outside the hotel. He remembered every laugh, every camera, every face. The car moved into the night. Inside the ballroom, Adrian received a call from his father. The older man's voice shook with excitement. An unknown international consortium had offered to purchase a massive stake in the hotel chain at an absurd premium. The deal would inject enough money to delay the family's looming crisis. Adrian grinned. He believed fortune favored him. He pulled Sophia closer. My family just made a killing. Sophia's eyes sparkled. Then tonight really is perfect. Neither of them noticed the security cameras turning. Neither knew the footage of Ethan's humiliation had already been copied. Neither knew every insult had been preserved. Not for evidence. For memory. Across the city, Marcus began moving funds through layers of corporations. Lawyers woke from sleep. Bankers rushed into private conference rooms. Executives answered encrypted calls. Before dawn, the Celestial Crown Hotel changed hands. The Blackwoods celebrated the sale. Their board applauded Adrian's leadership. Sophia posted a photograph from the ballroom. She captioned it with a sentence meant for Ethan. Some people are lessons, others are upgrades. Thousands praised her courage. Thousands mocked the nameless ex-fiancé standing wet and broken in the background. Ethan read the post from his temporary apartment. The room was narrow, the walls were bare. A single lamp burned beside him. Marcus stood nearby with documents confirming the acquisition. Ethan pressed the screen once. Saved Sophia's post. Then he opened the system panel. Mission completed. Celestial Crown Hotel acquired. Reward released. Apex Sovereign Fund unlocked. Total capital influence expanded. New authority granted. Market command. Debt control. Set seizure. Corporate execution. Ethan placed the phone on the table. His face held no triumph. Triumph came after the enemy understood. This was only preparation. Marcus set down a folder. The Blackwood family is requesting to meet the new owner. Ethan opened the folder. Adrian's photograph stared back at him. So confident. So clean. So unaware. Ethan closed it. Decline. Marcus nodded. Should I give a reason? Ethan poured himself a glass of water. No, he drank slowly. Silence makes arrogant men invent hope. Outside, dawn crawled over the city. Sophia slept in Adrian's arms. The Blackwood board planned new investments. Reporters praised their brilliant hotel deal. And Ethan sat alone in a cheap apartment wearing the same wetsuit they had mocked. Only now, beneath that worn fabric, rested a card capable of purchasing everything they worshipped. His vengeance would not begin with blood. Blood was simple. His vengeance would begin with gifts. Loans, promotions, luxury. He would feed their greed until it became a chain around their throats. He would let Sophia wear diamonds bought with borrowed money. He would let Adrian boast from a throne built over a sinkhole. He would let every laughing guest return to the hotel and kneel before its hidden owner without knowing his name. Then, when their happiness reached its brightest point, he would close his hand. Ethan looked at his mother's damaged photograph. His eyes were colder than the rain. The thought being rich made him untouchable. A faint smile crossed his lips. Let us see how untouchable he looks when I own the ground beneath his feet. By sunrise, the city had already chosen its story. Sophia Hart had escaped a poor, obsessive fiancé. Adrian Blackwood had rescued her. Ethan Vale had been exposed as a bitter failure. The videos spread everywhere. His wet coat, his cracked shoes, his silence. The comments were worse than the laughter in the ballroom. A man without money should not dream above his station. She wasted 7 years on him. He probably wanted her to support him forever. Ethan read every sentence. Then he closed the screen. He sat in a cramped apartment above a laundromat. The ceiling rattled, the pipes groaned, the bed was narrow, the wallpaper peeled in long yellow strips. It was perfect. A defeated man needed a defeated room. Marcus Wren stood beside the window in a tailored suit worth more than the entire building. The Celestial Crown acquisition is complete, Marcus said. The Blackwoods believe the buyer is a foreign retirement consortium. Good. They have also requested additional credit. Ethan looked up. How much? Enough to bury 3 generations. A small smile appeared. Marcus paused. Half? Too much money creates caution. Ethan poured cheap instant coffee into a chipped cup. Give them enough to become reckless, not enough to feel safe. Marcus lowered his head. Sure, the loan will be routed through lenders they already trust, and the interest hidden behind favorable introductory terms. Ethan took a slow drink. It tasted bitter. He liked it. Make Adrian believe he negotiated the deal himself. Marcus understood. Pride was more intoxicating than wealth. Once a man believed he had earned his chains, he would polish them. Ethan's phone rang. Sophia. He watched her name flash. She called again. Then again. On the 4th attempt he answered. Her voice arrived soft and careful. Ethan? He said nothing. She released a delicate breath. I know last night was difficult. Difficult, not cruel, not planned, not betrayal. Difficult. Ethan leaned back. I may have been too harsh, she continued. Adrian's friends were watching. I had to make things clear. You did. His calm made her hesitate. I do not want you misunderstanding anything. I understand perfectly. Sophia relaxed. She mistook stillness for surrender. I am glad. Her tone became warmer, false warmth, the voice she once used when asking him to pay another bill. There is a small issue with the apartment. Ethan looked at Marcus. Marcus had already opened a financial profile on the table. Sophia's name appeared beside a list of liabilities. What issue? Ethan asked. The lease is still in your name. You threw my belongings into the street. That was Adrian's staff. They became overprotective. A pause. Then the poison arrived wrapped in silk. You know how wealthy families are. They handle problems quickly. Ethan almost admired her confidence. She had humiliated him less than a day ago. Now she needed his signature. What do you want? I need you to transfer the lease and utility obligations to me temporarily. Why? Adrian and I need privacy while the new penthouse is prepared. Ethan glanced at the documents Marcus had placed before him. The apartment building was owned by a property company. That property company had been purchased before dawn. He now owned the roof above Sophia's head. He also owned every unpaid charge she had hidden from him. Sophia continued, there is also a renovation deposit. How much? She named a sum larger than his former annual salary. You expect me to pay it? Not pay. Her voice became wounded. Just sign as the responsible party. Ethan stayed silent. She immediately changed tactics. After everything we shared, can you not help me once? He could almost see her expression. Lowered eyes, trembling lips. The fragile performance that had emptied his savings for years. She had cried when she wanted tuition. She had cried when she wanted designer clothes. She had cried when her father lost money gambling. Each tear had carried a price. Now she cried for a home where another man would hold her. Ethan smiled. I will sign. Sophia's relief was immediate. I knew you were not heartless. No. His voice remained quiet. I remember how much loyalty matters to you. She missed the blade. I will send the documents. The call ended. Marcus stared at him. You intend to accept responsibility. I intend to revise the contract. Ian pushed the folder across the table. Transfer the building into a separate company. Already done. Raise the renovation allowance. Marcus's eyes narrowed. How high? High enough to tempt her. And the repayment clause? Ethan tapped the table once. All improvements become permanent property of the owner. Marcus smiled faintly. Sophia would pour borrowed money into Ethan's building. She would decorate her cage. By noon, a courier delivered the contract. Sophia sat inside the apartment she had stolen from Ethan. Adrian lounged on the sofa while an interior designer displayed samples of imported stone. Sophia skimmed the papers. She did not read the fine print. She saw only the approved renovation credit. Her eyes brightened. This is more than I requested. Adrian laughed. Your ex is desperate to stay useful. Sophia signed. She took a photograph of the signature page and sent it to Ethan. Thank you for finally acting like an adult. Ethan read the message while standing inside a private elevator descending beneath the city. The doors opened into a facility that did not appear on any public map. Rows of servers stretched into darkness. Cold air moved like breath through a tomb. Silver system panels floated before him. Retaliation investment confirmed. Target has accepted hostility. Reward issued. Shadow capital engine unlocked. Ethan walked deeper. What does it do? He asked silently. The system answered. Any asset purchased through concealed ownership may generate multiplied returns when used against a registered target. The list appeared: real estate, debt, equities, patents, commodities, information, influence. Ethan stopped beside the central terminal. And the limit? No meaningful limit detected. The words hung before him. He placed his palm against the glass console. Begin. Markets opened across the world. The first purchases were small. A failing logistics company. A neglected battery patent. A nearly abandoned warehouse district. A chain of medical laboratories losing money. None looked impressive. That was the point. Ethan bought what arrogant men ignored. The system analyzed millions of transactions. It uncovered patterns hidden beneath noise. The logistics company controlled the only legal route connecting several future industrial zones. The battery patent could triple energy density. The warehouses sat above land approved for a secret transportation project. The laboratories possessed research stolen by a pharmaceutical giant. Within hours, value moved. Millions became hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions became billions. Billions multiplied into tens of billions. The numbers climbed without emotion. Ethan did not celebrate. He gave orders. Acquire the transport authority's private contractors. Purchase the debt of the pharmaceutical giant. Secure mineral rights around every projected battery facility. Buy the insurers covering black-eyed construction projects. Marcus watched the empire spread. Each order created another hidden blade. You could purchase the entire Blackwood group now, he said. That would frighten them. They are already insolvent. They do not know that. Ethan turned from the screen. Keep it that way. The system chimed. Grinding efficiency threshold reached. Asset growth multiplier increased. New passive authority unlocked. Host may designate one apparently worthless asset for forced solution. A list appeared. Ethan scrolled past ruined factories, dead companies, abandoned mines, forgotten software, and rejected inventions. Then he saw it. A financial analytics platform called Lantern. The platform had been mocked by investors. Its creators claimed it could predict corporate collapse through behavioral spending patterns. The code was unfinished. The company had 6 employees. Its total valuation was less than Adrian's car collection. Ethan selected it. Forced evolution activated. The underground servers roared. Code rewrote itself. Data flooded the network. Lantern awakened. Within minutes, it mapped every weakness in Blackwood Holdings. Hidden guarantees, circular loans, false valuations, offshore liabilities, bribed auditors, emergency refinancing dates, personal spending linked to corporate credit. A red structure appeared in the air. It looked like a tower built from debt. At the top sat Adrian. Below him sat his father. Below them sat dozens of companies holding one another upright. Remove one support and the entire structure would fall. Ethan studied it. Not yet. Marcus looked at the projection. What are you waiting for? Their appetite. As if summoned, Adrian called one of Ethan's shell banks. He demanded a larger credit line. He wanted to purchase a luxury resort chain. The resorts were famous. They were also dying. Their land was contaminated. Their water rights were under legal challenge. Their maintenance costs had been concealed. The sellers knew disaster was coming. Adrian did not. The acquisition looked like a crown. It was actually a coffin. Marcus received the request. This must be the secret opportunity mentioned by the system. Ethan nodded. Sophia had begun promoting the purchase publicly. She told reporter Adrian was about to become the king of luxury tourism. Her followers praised her vision. She posted photographs from private jets. She posted sketches of wedding venues. She posted a video inside Ethan's former apartment, laughing as workers tore down the wall where his mother's photograph had once hung. Adrian kissed her before the camera. This entire floor will become Sophia's private wardrobe. Comments poured in. Dream life. Perfect couple. Proof that women should never settle. Sophia looked directly into the lens. Sometimes letting go of dead weight is the first step toward abundance. Ethan watched the clip once. And he saved it. Approve the resort loan, he said. Marcus remained still. The contamination could trigger criminal investigations. I know. The Blackwoods may lose everything. I know. They may face prison. Ethan's expression did not change. That is why they must own it. The financing was approved before sunset. Adrian received the news during a banquet. He stood and raised his glass. My family has secured the greatest hospitality acquisition of this generation. Guests applauded. Sophia clung to him. His father embraced him for the first time in years. No one knew the money came from Ethan. No one knew the loan agreement allowed the creditor to seize every Blackwood asset if environmental fraud surfaced. No one knew the original resort owners had already sent Ethan evidence. Adrian believed he had stolen a treasure. Ethan had handed him a bomb and thanked him for carrying it. That night, Sophia sent Ethan another message, a photograph. She wore a necklace Adrian had given her. The stones glittered against her throat. The caption was simple. This is what a real man provides. Ethan enlarged the image. The necklace had been purchased through a Blackwood corporate account. Lantern traced the funds. The payment came from a construction budget. That construction budget was insured by a company Ethan now controlled. He forwarded the record to a private archive. One more thread around her neck, one more knot. He returned to work. The system offered no sleep, only opportunity. He purchased an agricultural drone manufacturer. He acquired a cybersecurity firm. He absorbed a struggling private hospital network. He bought controlling stakes in food distribution, satellite communications, water purification, and rare metals. Each acquisition triggered hidden synergy. The drone company reduced logistics costs. The cybersecurity firm exposed market manipulation. The hospitals granted access to medical patents. The food network controlled prices in several regions. The satellites allowed instant data access. The water company held emergency government contracts. The rare metals fed the battery technology. Value multiplied again. Tens of billions became hundreds of billions. Hundreds of billions became trillions in controlled assets. The city slept. Ethan did not. His face remained pale beneath the server lights. Marcus finally asked, "Do you feel anything?" Ethan looked at the rising figures. "No, not satisfaction. This is not revenge." He closed the market display. This is sharpening the knife. Before dawn, the system revealed another notification. Target greed threshold exceeded. Fatal opportunity fully accepted. Hidden consequence countdown initiated. The resort contamination would become public after regulatory testing. The first report would arrive soon. The Blackwoods had already transferred most of their remaining cash into the purchase. They had pledged the hotel chain as collateral. They had guaranteed the debt personally. Sophia had convinced Adrian to expand the wedding budget using borrowed funds. She had ordered flowers from overseas, reserved a private island, commissioned a gown covered in hand-sewn diamonds, invited the same socialites who had laughed at Ethan. Everything was built on the loan he controlled. Marcus placed the wedding projections before him. They intend to hold the engagement celebration at the Celestial Crown. Ethan looked at the ballroom layout. The same floor, same chandeliers, the same marble where his ring had been crushed. Approve it. Marcus nodded. Should the hotel charge them? No. Ethan's smile returned. Make it a gift from the anonymous owner. The invitation reached Adrian that morning. Complimentary use of the grand ballroom, complimentary catering, complimentary presidential suite. Adrian laughed. Even the new owners know who matters. Sophia kissed him. Everyone knows. She posted another photograph. Behind her, workers carried boxes of jewelry into Ethan's renovated building. Below the photograph, she wrote that wealth recognized wealth. Ethan read it from the underground command center. The system displayed the resort countdown. Lantern displayed the Blackwood debt tower. Marcus displayed the final documents, transferring the hotel's hidden ownership beyond all challenge. Every road now led back to Ethan. Every loan, every building, every contract, every celebration. Sophia believed she had traded a poor man for a rich one. She did not know the rich man was borrowing from the poor man she discarded. Adrian believed he had conquered the hospitality industry. He did not know his empire survived because Ethan allowed it to breathe. The Blackwood family believed they had purchased a golden future. They had purchased contaminated land, criminal exposure, and a debt no court could forgive. Ethan stood before the glowing city map. Thousands of assets pulsed under his control. His fortune grew while his enemies slept. His cheapest company had become a weapon. His smallest investment had become a fortress. His silence had become the rope around their throats. Marcus asked, "What happens when the report becomes public?" Ethan looked toward the distant tower of the Celestial Crown. "They will panic, and when they ask for help, I will help them." Marcus's eyes sharpened. Ethan's voice became colder. "I will lend them more." The system chimed. Perfect retaliation path confirmed. Next phase available. Ethan turned off the screen. Darkness swallowed the room. Only his smile remained. Above the city, Sophia dreamed of walking down an aisle covered in diamonds. Adrian dreamed of reporters calling him a genius. The Blackwood patriarch dreamed of restoring his family's glory. None of them heard the first crack beneath their feet. None of them knew the poison had already entered the cup, and none of them understood that Ethan had handed it to them with both hands. The first crack did not sound like thunder. It sounded like applause. Adrian Blackwood stood beneath the chandeliers of the Celestial Crown ballroom while investors praised his resort acquisition. Crystal glasses rose. Cameras flashed. Sophia stood beside him in a silver dress, one hand resting on his chest as if she had personally carved his empire from stone. Supporters surrounded them. "How did you identify such an undervalued opportunity?" Adrian smiled. "Instinct." Ethan watched from a private surveillance room above the ballroom. The glass before him was dark from the other side. No one below could see him. Marcus stood behind him. On the wall, lantern displayed the truth. The resort land was poisoned. The water system was failing. The labor contracts were fraudulent. The former owners had fled with the final clean funds. Adrian had purchased nothing but rot, yet the crowd worshipped him. Sophia leaned toward a microphone. "Real success comes from courage." Ethan's expression remained still. She had once called him reckless for buying medicine when her father was ill. She had once screamed at him for spending too much on heating during winter. Now she praised courage because another man had gambled with borrowed billions. The system chimed inside Ethan's mind. Target confidence has reached a critical level. Empire construction mission available. Build an independent economic domain capable of surviving total market collapse. Rewards sovereign authority. Ethan turned away from the ballroom. Begin the second layer. Marcus opened a secure tablet. The industrial district? All of it. Within the hour, shell companies began acquiring abandoned buildings along the northern river. The district had been declared useless. Factories had closed. Warehouses stood empty. Rail lines rusted beneath weeds. Politicians called it a graveyard. Ethan called it foundation. The battery company moved first. Engineers entered the largest factory under military security. The evolved patent became a prototype. The prototype became a production line. The production line became an energy network capable of storing enough power to sustain an entire city. Next came the water company. Purification towers rose beside the river. Old sewage channels were replaced. Underground reservoirs were sealed behind reinforced walls. The agricultural drone manufacturer occupied the eastern sector. Thousands of autonomous machines were assembled in silence. They could plant, harvest, deliver medicine, map disasters, defend restricted airspace. The logistics company repaired the rail lines. The satellite company built a private communication grid. The cybersecurity firm created an invisible wall around every system. The hospitals established emergency centers. The food network filled subterranean storage halls with grain, medicine, preserved meat, and clean water. The rare metals division forged alloys stronger than conventional steel. The district transformed, not publicly, not loudly. From the outside, it remained a dead industrial wasteland. Inside, it became a king. Every gate recognized Ethan. Every camera obeyed him. Every machine answered to lantern. The system rewarded each completed structure. Asset synergy activated. Production efficiency multiplied. Defensive capacity multiplied. Resource independence multiplied. Controlled wealth surged again. Trillions became tens of trillions. Tens of trillions spread across industries, debt markets, land rights, patents, and sovereign funds. Ethan did not count the money. Money had stopped being wealth. It was ammunition. His true fortune was control. He controlled the roads that delivered food. He controlled the systems that purified water. He controlled the networks that transmitted information. He controlled the lenders financing the Blackwoods. He controlled the insurers protecting their towers. He controlled the hotel where they celebrated. And soon he would control the fear that made them kneel. A woman waited inside the central research facility. Her name was Evelyn Cross. Once she had been the youngest engineer at a powerful energy corporation. Then she discovered that executives were hiding fatal defects in a reactor design. She reported them. The company destroyed her reputation. No laboratory would hire her. No university would accept her. She had been reduced to repairing household appliances in a narrow shop near the river. Ethan had purchased that shop the previous night. He entered without guards. Evelyn stood beside a dismantled generator. Grease marked her hands. Her eyes were sharp. "You are the new landlord. I own the building. So you came to raise the rent?" "No." Ethan placed a black folder on the workbench. Inside were the reactor reports she had tried to expose. Her face changed. "Where did you get these?" "I bought the company that buried them." She stared at him. "That corporation is worth more than this district." It was. Evelyn looked again at the documents. "What do you want?" I want a power grid that cannot be sabotaged. You already have battery storage. I want redundancy. Why? Ethan's eyes gave her nothing. Because systems fail. She laughed without humor. People fail first. That is why people will not control it. He showed her the underground plans, automated cooling, isolated energy cells, manual overrides requiring several independent confirmations. No executive could disable the entire grid. No corrupt official could sell access. No single betrayal could destroy the system. Evelyn read in silence. And she asked, what happens when I disagree with you? You prove me wrong. And if I cannot, you follow the better plan. No speech about trust, no promise of family, no false warmth, only terms. Clean. Cold. Honest. Evelyn closed the folder. When do I start? Now. She became the first person Ethan allowed into the inner circle. Not because she was loyal. Loyalty could rot. He chose her because she had already sacrificed everything for truth. The system reacted. Elite subordinate acquired. Engineering domain upgraded. Sovereign facility development accelerated. Evelyn rebuilt the power grid with ruthless precision. She slept beside the reactors. She fired senior engineers who lied. She promoted technicians who admitted mistakes. Under her command, the industrial district stopped depending on the city. Then came Jonah Reed, a former special operations officer abandoned by his government after a failed mission. His squad had been blamed for decisions made by men sitting safely behind desks. He had survived prison, interrogation, public disgrace. Ethan found him working as security outside a nightclub. A drunk heir slapped him in front of a crowd. Jonah did not react, simply memorized the man's face. Ethan recognized the restraint, suppressed violence, useful violence. He offered Jonah control of the district's security. Jonah asked, who are we protecting? Assets? Not people. People are assets when they are useful. Jonah stared at him for a long moment, then he smiled. At least you do not lie. He accepted. The security force grew beneath him. Not thugs. Not mercenaries hungry for cruelty. Professionals discarded by corrupt institutions. Veterans, investigators, rescue specialists, cyber defense officers, pilots, medics. Each had been betrayed by a system that demanded loyalty and rewarded obedience with ruin. Ethan gave them contracts, resources, authority. He never asked for gratitude. He demanded competence. The district became harder to penetrate with each passing day. Drones patrolled the sky. Sensors watched the tunnels. Armored gates vanished beneath ordinary warehouse doors. Emergency shelters extended deep underground. Food production began in vertical farms lit by artificial suns. Water flowed through sealed channels. Medical laboratories created treatments that major companies had abandoned because the patients were not profitable enough. Lantern coordinated everything. The useless software mocked by investors became the nervous system of an empire. Ethan stood on the highest roof in the district. Below him, factories glowed through the night. Evelyn approached with a data slate. The grid is stable. For how long? Without external fuel. She looked over the lights. Longer than anyone outside would believe. Jonah arrived from the stairwell. Perimeter tests are complete. No breach. Ethan nodded. The system appeared. Independent economic domain completed. Sovereign authority unlocked. Host may now declare protected territory. Within protected territory, hostile financial influence, digital interference, and forced asset seizure will be suppressed. Ethan looked across the district. Declare it. The air seemed to tighten. Every system synchronized. Every light flashed once. The lantern's voice filled the command network. Sovereign territory recognized. Owner authority absolute. Ethan felt no mystical surge, no divine warmth. Only access. Every door, every account, every defense, every production line. Control was complete. Meanwhile, Sophia lived inside a dream, financed by decay. The apartment renovation became a palace. She imported marble, silk walls, gold fixtures, rare wood, an indoor garden, a private cinema, a wardrobe larger than the home where Ethan had grown up. She filmed everything. Her followers watched workers tear apart rooms Ethan had once repaired by hand. This place used to feel so small, she told the camera. It carried the energy of limitation. She smiled while standing where Ethan had once slept on the floor so she could study without disturbance. Now it finally reflects who I am. The renovation bills climbed. The credit facility expanded automatically. Each expense transferred value into Ethan's property. Each luxury item became collateral. Each improvement became his possession. Sophia believed she was spending Adrian's money. Adrian believed the company would repay everything after the resort launch. The company believed tourists would flood the new properties. No one examined the water reports. No one inspected the sealed medical complaints. No one questioned why the former owners had accepted such a fast sale. They were too busy celebrating. Adrian announced an extravagant engagement ceremony. The ballroom would be covered in white roses. A diamond sculpture of Sophia would stand at the entrance. Famous performers would appear. Private chefs would prepare dishes flown in from across the world. The cost was obscene. The applause was louder. Sophia sent invitations to every person who had mocked Ethan. Then she sent one to Ethan himself. He received it in the Sovereign Command Center. The card was thick, gold lettering. His name had been placed beneath a colder line. Former associate of the bride. Jonah read it over his shoulder. They want you there. They want a witness. Evelyn frowned. To what? Their victory. Ethan turned the card over. Sophia had written a message by hand. Come see what you could never give me. Jonah's expression darkened. Should I cancel the ceremony? No. Remove the flowers? No. Cut the power at the right moment? Ethan looked through the glass wall at the energy core Evelyn had built. No. His answer was almost gentle. Give them perfection. Marcus entered with another report. The resort launch is approaching. The regulators have completed their testing, and the contamination is worse than projected. Ethan took the file. Children in nearby villages had become ill. Workers had suffered skin damage. Waste had leaked into groundwater. Adrian's new empire was not merely worthless. It was criminal. Marcus continued. The agency is prepared to issue a closure order. Delay it. For how long? Until after the engagement ceremony. Evelyn's eyes sharpened. People are being harmed. Ethan met her gaze. Move clean water and medical support into the affected region through charities. That treats the victims. It also prevents further exposure. In the report, it becomes public when the Blackwoods are fully committed. Evelyn studied him. You plan for the innocent. I plan for the asset. She almost smiled. He had no interest in appearing kind. Yet the water would arrive. The medicine would arrive. The villages would survive. The Blackwoods would still inherit the blame. Marcus opened another file. There is more. Sophia's father had borrowed against the engagement gifts. Her mother had ordered jewelry through Blackwood accounts. Her brother had used Adrian's name to purchase sports cars. Her relatives had begun promising government contracts they did not control. The entire Hart family had climbed onto the same sinking ship. Ethan read every page. Approved their purchases. Marcus nodded. All of them? All. They are consuming themselves. No. Ethan closed the file. They are revealing themselves. The system chimed. Target network exposure increased. Additional enemies registered. Reward loop activated. For every hostile target who voluntarily increases dependency on host-controlled assets, sovereign wealth generation will accelerate. The effect was immediate. Sophia bought a necklace. Ethan gained a mining concession. Adrian purchased another jet. Ethan acquired the lender. Sophia's brother ordered a fleet of cars. Ethan gained control of the manufacturer's debt. Her father gambled through a private club. Ethan purchased the club. Her mother reserved a luxury clinic. Ethan bought the hospital chain. Every act of arrogance fed him. Every indulgence strengthened his empire. The loop became endless. Their greed created his power. Their laughter built his throne. Sophia posted a final video before the engagement ceremony. She stood inside the finished apartment beneath a chandelier of crystal leaves. Adrian embraced her from behind. She looked into the camera. There are moments when life proves you made the right choice. Ethan watched from his command center. Behind him, the sovereign district pulsed with power. Factories produced. Farms grew. Drones moved. Servers calculated. Guards trained. Hospitals prepared. His empire lived beneath the skin of the city. Sophia raised her diamond-covered hand. New beginnings. Ethan touched the screen. The image froze on her smile. Marcus asked, "Will you attend?" Ethan rose. His old suit hung beside the door, the same suit she had mocked. The same worn fabric from the night she discarded him. He took it from the hanger. Yes. Jonah glanced at the suit. Like that? Ethan put it on. The sleeves were still frayed. The collar was still cheap. The man inside it was no longer poor, but no one needed to know, not yet. He adjusted the damaged cuff. Kings wear crowns when they want to be recognized. His smile was thin. Hunters wear whatever keeps the prey calm. Far above the hidden empire, the celestial crown prepared for the most extravagant celebration in its history. White roses filled the halls. Champagne cooled in silver towers. Guests rehearsed their compliments. Sophia practiced her entrance. Adrian prepared a speech about destiny. And beneath their feet, the true owner of the hotel stepped into an ordinary car, wearing the clothes of a defeated man. They believed the storm had passed. They believed Ethan had returned to watch them shine. They did not know the district behind him could outlive nations. They did not know every luxury surrounding them belonged to him. They did not know the report that would destroy them was waiting for a single command. The empire was complete. The trap was sealed. The prey was smiling, and Ethan was finally ready to enter the room. The ballroom doors opened. Music softened. Conversations died. Ethan stepped inside wearing the same cheap suit, the same frayed cuffs, the same worn shoes. For one breath, no one understood why he was there. Then someone laughed. The sound spread through the room like fire through dry grass. Sophia turned from the stage. Her smile widened. She had expected him. She had prepared for him. And around her, white roses climbed marble pillars. Silver lights covered the ceiling like stars. A diamond sculpture bearing her likeness stood near the entrance, tall enough to require its own security team. Everything screamed wealth. Everything begged to be admired. Sophia descended the steps slowly. Adrian followed with one hand in his pocket. He wore a white dinner jacket and the relaxed expression of a man welcoming a servant. "You actually came," Sophia said. Ethan looked around the ballroom. Beautiful. Pride brightened her face. "I knew you would understand once you saw it." She moved closer. The guests lifted their phones. Another public execution was beginning. Sophia lowered her voice, though not enough to hide it. "You could have avoided this pain." "What pain?" Her smile stiffened. She spread her arms. "The life you could never give me." Ethan glanced at the roses, the chandeliers, the musicians, the imported marble, the champagne towers. Every light in the room drew power from a company he owned. Every flower had crossed borders through his logistics network. Every bottle had been purchased with credit issued by his banks. The floor beneath Sophia's heels belonged to him. He smiled. "You are right. She relaxed. She wanted surrender. She wanted him to admit that choosing Adrian had been wisdom. Adrian stepped beside her. Do not worry, Vale. We did not invite you to humiliate you. Laughter rose from the nearest tables. He waited for silence. We invited you because Sophia felt guilty. Sophia placed one hand over her heart. For old times. Ethan said nothing. Adrian lifted a glass from a passing tray. I may even have a position for you. The guest leaned in. A position? Sophia asked, playing her role perfectly. Adrian nodded. One of the resorts needs maintenance workers. The room erupted. Sophia laughed until tears formed in her eyes. Adrian held out the glass. You can start by clearing this table. Ethan looked at the glass, then at Adrian. Keep it. Adrian's smile disappeared. The refusal was too calm, too clean. It denied him the pleasure of seeing shame. Before he could answer, the lights dimmed. The orchestra stopped. A golden projection appeared above the stage. Sophia clapped once. It is time. She took Adrian's arm. Together they walked beneath the glowing crest of the Blackwood family. Supporters moved forward. The master of ceremonies raised his microphone. Tonight we celebrate not only an engagement but the union of two extraordinary visions. Applause thundered. Ethan moved to the edge of the ballroom. No one noticed Marcus enter through a private door. No one noticed Jonah standing among the security staff. No one noticed Evelyn watching the emergency systems from a concealed control room. Every piece was in place. Sophia took the microphone. Her voice trembled with practiced emotion. When I was younger, I believed love meant sacrifice. Her gaze found Ethan. The cameras followed. I believed suffering together made two people stronger. Some guests sighed. Others smiled cruelly. Sophia continued. Suffering is not noble. She raised her chin. Poverty is not loyalty. Applause exploded. Failure is not devotion. The applause grew louder, and a woman should never apologize for choosing the life she deserves. Guests rose from their chairs. Adrian smiled like a king receiving worship. Ethan watched in silence. Sophia had rehearsed every word. She wanted the world to witness her triumph over him. She wanted his humiliation sealed beneath music and diamonds. The master of ceremonies returned. Now Adrian Blackwood will reveal the future of the Blackwood Resort Empire. A massive screen descended behind the stage. Images appeared. Beaches, golden towers, private villas, artificial islands. Sophia's face appeared across promotional banners. Adrian raised both hands. The Blackwood family is entering a new age. The crowd cheered. We will build the most exclusive hospitality network on Earth. More images flashed. None showed poisoned water. None showed sick workers. None showed sealed reports. Adrian continued. Our new resorts will redefine luxury. A notification appeared before Ethan's eyes. Target commitment complete. All major liabilities consolidated. Collateral exposure absolute. Fatal event available. Ethan glanced toward Marcus. Marcus gave one slight nod. The regulatory order had been filed. The evidence had been verified. The emergency lenders were waiting. Every Blackwood account could be frozen the instant Ethan gave permission. He did not give it. Not yet. Adrian raised his glass. To the future, the ballroom answered. To the future. Champagne touched lips. And every phone in the room vibrated. A soft chorus. Confusion spread. Guests looked down. Reporters froze. Adrian continued speaking, unaware. Behind him, the Golden Resort projection vanished. A news alert replaced it. Blackwood Resort properties closed after catastrophic contamination discovery. For one heartbeat, the room became perfectly still. Adrian turned. His face drained of color. The screen changed again. Investigators uncover concealed illness reports. Then again. Emergency regulators order immediate evacuation. Then again, creditors demand repayment. Then again, Blackwood Holdings shares suspended. A woman screamed. The sound broke the silence. Adrian grabbed the microphone. This is false. No one listened. Guests were reading. Scrolling, calling brokers, calling lawyers, calling banks. The master of ceremonies fled the stage. Sophia looked at Adrian. What is happening? He ignored her. He called his father. No answer. He called the company treasurer. No answer. He called the bank that had financed the resorts. A recorded voice informed him that every account had been restricted pending investigation. The orchestra members began packing their instruments. Caterers stopped serving. Supporters moved toward Adrian with predatory eyes. Did you know about the contamination? Were the medical records hidden before for the sale? Did Blackwood Holdings mislead investors? Are you personally liable for the loans? Adrian backed away. You do not understand. A reporter pushed closer. Your family guaranteed the acquisition with the hotel chain. Is the Celestial Crown now at risk? Adrian's head snapped toward the ceiling. For the first time that night, he seemed to remember where he stood. The hotel, the ballroom, the center of his family's pride. He called the chief financial officer. This time someone answered. The man on the other end was crying. The lenders activated the collateral clauses. Adrian's lips parted. What? Everything is being seized. No, the hotels. No, the private residences. No, the aircraft. No, the trust accounts. Adrian screamed into the phone. Stop saying no one can stop it. The response came in a broken whisper. The controlling creditor owns all the debt. Adrian lowered the phone. Sophia's grabbed his sleeve. What does that mean? He stared at her as though she were a stranger. It means someone owns us. Around them, panic spread. Guests rushed toward the exits. Investors shouted into phones. Relatives began blaming one another. Sophia's father pushed through the crowd. You promised the resort would triple in value. Adrian shoved him away. You begged me to approve your loans. Sophia's brother appeared beside them. My cars are being repossessed. Her mother clutched a jewelry case. The clinic says our accounts are frozen. Sophia looked from face to face. Her dream collapsed in pieces. The private island, the diamond gown, the apartment, the wedding, the status. All of it vanished beneath a flood of messages. Then the ballroom lights went dark. Gasps filled the room. Emergency lamps flickered red. The diamond sculpture of Sophia glowed like a corpse. A mechanical voice filled the hotel. By order of the property owner, all Blackwood personnel are removed from operational authority. Adrian's breathing stopped. The ballroom doors locked. Security officers turned, not toward Ethan, toward Adrian. Jonah stepped forward. Mr. Blackwood, surrender all hotel credentials. Adrian stared at him. I own this hotel. Jonah held out his hand. No, my family built this place. No, I'm the acting director. Not anymore. Adrian reached for his phone. The device displayed a termination notice. His access badge went dark. The Blackwood crest above the stage disappeared. A new symbol replaced it. A simple silver letter. Ethan's initial. No one understood at first. Then Marcus walked into the center of the ballroom. Every security officer bowed. Every hotel employee lowered their head. Marcus stopped before Ethan. Mr. Vale, the room changed, not physically, something deeper. Every face turned, every breath paused. Sophia looked at Ethan's worn suit, then at Marcus, then at the silver symbol. Her lips trembled. What did he call you? Marcus faced the room. The sole controlling owner of the Celestial Crown. Silence. The primary creditor of Blackwood Holdings. Someone dropped a glass. The owner of the resort acquisition debt. Adrian swayed. The controlling authority behind the Apex Sovereign Fund. Sophia shook her head. No, Marcus continued. The principal owner of the apartment complex renovated under Miss Hart's credit agreement. Her knees weakened. The owner of the lenders financing the Hart family. Her father staggered backward. The owner of the insurers, logistics networks, private hospitals, and financial institutions now enforcing claims against the Blackwood Group. The ballroom became a tomb. Every person who had laughed at Ethan stared at him. Their eyes moved over the frayed cuffs, the cheap collar, the cracked shoes. Nothing made sense. A poor man should not own the world beneath their feet. A discarded fiancé should not control empires. A joke should not hold their lives in his hand. Adrian forced a laugh. It came out broken. This theater. Ethan looked at him. Adrian's voice rose. You borrowed the suit. You hired actors. You hacked the hotel. Marcus handed Ethan a tablet. On the screen waited one command. Complete liquidation. Ethan placed his thumb against it. The system chimed. Authority confirmed. Every display in the ballroom changed. Asset seizure notices appeared. Hotels transferred. Jets grounded. Accounts closed. Properties frozen. Vehicles repossessed. Contracts terminated. Adrian watched his name vanish from company records. His breathing became shallow. No. The word was barely audible. He pressed his hands against the screen as if he could force the numbers to return. No. The Blackwood Empire collapsed in real time. Decades of arrogance disappeared beneath Ethan's fingertip. Sophia stumbled toward him. Do you own the apartment? The renovations? Yes. The jewelry? Collateral. Her hand flew to the necklace around her throat. The stones no longer looked beautiful. They looked like shackles. You approved the credit, yes. Her face twisted. You trapped me. Ethan's smile was quiet. I signed what you sent. She remembered the call, her trembling performance, her request for help, her message thanking him for acting like an adult. The memory struck harder than a slap. Adrian lunged. Jonah caught him before he crossed half the distance. One movement, a twist. Adrian crashed to his knees. The crowd recoiled. He looked up at Ethan with raw hatred. You ruined my family. Ethan approached slowly. You purchased the resorts. You hid the report. I delayed it. People suffered. They received clean water and medical care from my companies before your board finished celebrating. Evelyn stepped from the shadows. She placed verified relief records on the nearest display. Villages supplied, workers treated, contaminated zones isolated, every victim protected while the evidence was secured. The reporters stared. Adrian had no answer. Sophia backed toward the stage. Her heel caught the edge of her silver dress. She fell beside the diamond sculpture made in her image. A crack spread through its base, and the sculpture collapsed. Diamonds scattered across the marble. Guests screamed and fled aside. Sophia crawled through the glittering wreckage. Her palms bled. Her dress tore. The woman who had entered like a queen now moved on her hands and knees beneath the feet of strangers. Her father grabbed her shoulder. This is your fault. She slapped his hand away. You begged me to marry him. Her mother screamed. Said the Blackwoods were secure. Her brother kicked aside broken diamonds. You promised us everything. They turned on one another. Words became accusations. Accusations became blows. Sophia's father struck her brother. The mother clawed at Sophia's necklace. Sophia shoved her to the ground. Adrian screamed at all of them. The elegant family alliance dissolved into animals fighting over scraps. Guests filmed every second. Same cameras once aimed at Ethan now captured Sophia's blooded hands. The same socialites who had mocked his poverty whispered about her fraud. The same reporters who praised Adrian's instinct shouted questions about prison. Ethan stood in the center of the storm, untouched. Jonah released Adrian only after security surrounded him. Adrian remained on his knees. His hands shook violently. He looked at Ethan's shoes. The cracked leather suddenly seemed more terrifying than a crown.
Ethan did not.
Marcus did. Rich enough that the loss of the Blackwood Empire does not register as a meaningful fluctuation. A strange sound escaped Adrian, half laugh, half sob. The guests understood. The man they had mocked for counting coins possessed wealth beyond calculation. The man they had called useless controlled industries they depended upon to eat, travel, communicate, borrow, and survive. The room bent around that truth. People lowered their eyes. Some stepped backward. Some began deleting videos from the night Ethan was humiliated. Others searched desperately for proof that they had never insulted him. One socialite fainted. Another vomited behind a table. The banker who had laughed loudest dropped to his knees without being told. Ethan looked across the crowd. Fear moved through them like a disease. He had not raised his voice. He had not struck anyone. He had only revealed ownership. That was enough. Sophia finally stood. Her face was streaked with tears and makeup. Blood marked her palms. She looked at Ethan as though seeing him for the first time. Not the man who had loved her. Not the man she had discarded. A force. A judgment. Something too large to understand. "You could have told me," she whispered. Ethan tilted his head. "Would you have stayed?" She opened her mouth. No answer came. Everyone knew the truth. She would have stayed. She would have smiled. She would have called poverty romantic. She would have worn the same ring and praised his loyalty. Not because she loved him, because she worshipped wealth. Ethan stepped closer. Sophia trembled. He stopped before the ruined diamond sculpture. "You wanted a life I could never give you." Her eyes filled again. He glanced around the ballroom, the seized hotel, the broken celebration, the kneeling heir, the fighting family, the terrified crowd. Then he looked back at her. "So I gave it to you." Her lips parted. "A palace built from debt." His voice remained soft. "A crown made from collateral." She began to shake. "A rich man who owned nothing." Adrian lowered his head, and a celebration inside my hotel. The last color left Sophia's face. Ethan passed her. The ballroom doors unlocked. Security entered with legal officers. Arrest warrants were presented. Adrian's father was detained in the lobby. Board members were taken from private suites. Financial records were seized. The Blackwood crest was removed from every wall. Outside, repossession teams surrounded luxury vehicles. Above the city, company aircraft were ordered to land. Across the country, resort gates were sealed. The disaster arrived all at once. Precise, absolute, unstoppable. Adrian looked toward Ethan one final time. "Please." It was the first honest word he had spoken all night. Ethan did not turn. Sophia stared at his back. She remembered the man standing in the rain, the ring beneath Adrian's shoe, the photograph in the gutter, the envelope of money, the laughter. She finally understood. He had not walked away defeated. He had walked away to choose the height of their fall. The system appeared before Ethan. Catastrophic event resolved. Public revelation complete. Face-slapping threshold exceeded. Enemy confidence destroyed. Sovereign dominance confirmed. Final judgment phase unlocked. Ethan reached the ballroom exit. Behind him came crying, begging, threats, promises, names offered in betrayal. Family members condemned one another for mercy. The sound followed him into the corridor. Marcus walked beside him. "Their remaining personal petitions will arrive by morning. They will come sooner. Do you want security to refuse them?" Ethan looked through the windows at the city. The celestial crown shone above streets filled with flashing emergency lights. "No." His smile returned, cold, patient. They laughed while standing. He watched Adrian being dragged through the lobby. "They can apologize on their knees." They came before midnight, not in luxury cars. Those had already been seized. Not with lawyers. Those lawyers had stopped answering. Not with bodyguards. Those men had removed their uniforms the moment the Blackwood name lost value. They came on foot. Sophia arrived first. Her silver dress was gone. She wore an old coat over borrowed clothes. The diamond necklace had been surrendered as collateral. The makeup that once sharpened her beauty had been washed away by tears. Her eyes were swollen. Her lips trembled from cold. Behind her walked Adrian. His white jacket was stained. His wrists were bruised from detention. He had been released temporarily while investigators processed the mountain of evidence against his family. He no longer walked like an heir. He dragged his feet like a prisoner, already hearing the cell door close. Sophia's parents followed. Her father clutched a folder of failed appeals. His mother carried a jewelry box that was nearly empty. Her brother limped beside them, his face bruised from a fight with men who had come to repossess his cars. The Blackwood patriarch arrived last. No driver opened a door for him. No secretary announced his name. The old man leaned on a cane and stared at the celestial crown as if looking at the corpse of a beloved child. The hotel no longer displayed the Blackwood crest. A silver symbol glowed above the entrance. Ethan's mark. Every person in the group looked up at it. Fear tightened their faces. They had spent years worshipping names. Now another name owned the sky above them. Jonah waited inside the lobby. He did not greet them. He inspected them as one might inspect contaminated cargo. Sophia stepped forward. "We need to see Ethan." Jonah's expression did not change. "Mr. Vale is occupied." Adrian clenched his jaw. "This concerns the Blackwood debt. It no longer concerns you." The word struck harder than a fist. Adrian's father swayed. Sophia pressed both hands together. "Please." Jonah looked at her. The same woman who had once ordered hotel staff to remove Ethan because his wet coat offended her. Now she stood dripping rainwater onto the same marble. They waited. Minutes became an hour. No chairs were offered. No water was brought. Guests entered through the main doors wearing elegant clothes. Some recognized Sophia, they whispered. Some laughed. One woman raised her phone and filmed. Sophia lowered her head. The old humiliation returned. Only now she stood where Ethan had stood. Poor discarded. Watched. Adrian's mother had not come. She had fled the country that afternoon with hidden jewelry. The jewelry had been intercepted at the airport. She had then blamed her husband. The Blackwood patriarch had blamed Adrian. Adrian had blamed Sophia. Sophia had blamed her father. Her father had blamed gambling. Her brother had blamed everyone. The family had spent the entire day tearing itself apart. Now necessity forced them into one group, not a family. A pile of frightened animals gathered outside the slaughterhouse. At last Jonah turned. "Follow me." They were led past the grand ballroom. Its doors stood open. Workers had removed the white roses. The broken diamond sculpture was gone. The blood had been cleaned from the marble. Nothing remained of Sophia's celebration except faint scratches on the floor. She stopped walking. Her breath hitched. She remembered standing beneath the chandeliers. She remembered telling Ethan that poverty was not loyalty. She remembered the applause. Jonah looked back. Move. She obeyed. They entered a private elevator. It rose beyond the guest floors. Beyond the presidential suites, beyond the executive offices Adrian once treated as his personal kingdom. The doors opened into a quiet chamber overlooking the city. Glass walls revealed towers glittering beneath the rain. A long black stood near the windows. Marcus waited beside it. Evelyn stood farther back with a tablet. No one else spoke. At the end of the room sat Ethan. He wore black. No frayed cuffs, no cracked shoes, no borrowed dignity. The suit was simple, but every line fit him with severe precision. He sat in a high-backed chair. One hand rested on the armrest. The other held a glass of dark wine. Sophia stared at him. For one terrible moment, she saw the man she had loved. Then he raised his eyes. That illusion died. The warmth was gone. No grief remained, no longing, no question. She had once been the center of his world. Now she was less important than the wine in his hand. The group stopped several steps away. Ethan took a slow drink. No one dared speak first. Marcus placed several documents on the table. The Blackwood family requests suspension of liquidation. Adrian stepped forward. Jonah's hand moved slightly. Adrian stopped. His voice shook. Made mistakes. Ethan said nothing. The resort reports were concealed from us. Evelyn touched the tablet. A screen illuminated. Emails appeared. Adrian ordering inspectors to ignore complaints. Adrian approving payments to silence workers. Adrian mocking the illnesses as a public relations inconvenience. His face collapsed. I did not understand the severity. Another file appeared. His signature authorized the disposal of contaminated waste near residential wells. Adrian fell silent. Ethan rotated the wine inside his glass. You called it instinct. Adrian's eyes lifted. What? The acquisition. Ethan's voice was calm. You stood beneath my chandelier and called it instinct. Adrian's knees weakened. He remembered the applause, the confidence, the praise. Now each memory tasted like poison. I was arrogant. Yes. I was pressured. No, my father. The Blackwood patriarch struck his cane against the floor. Do not drag me into this, Norton. You approved the deal. You presented it as safe. You forced me to restore the family. You wanted the title. Voices rose, accusations flew. The old man called his son weak. Adrian called his father a coward. Sophia's brother began shouting about promised contracts. Her father demanded repayment of gambling losses. Her mother clutched the empty jewelry box and cried that everyone had ruined her life. Ethan watched without interruption. The noise became ugly. Desperate, honest. When Jonah stepped forward, they immediately fell silent. Ethan set down the glass. You came to ask for mercy. Sophia moved first. She sank to her knees. The sound of bones striking the floor echoed through the chamber. Everyone stared. She looked up at Ethan with tears filling her eyes. I am sorry. He watched her. She crawled closer. Jonah blocked her path. She stopped beneath his shadow. I was confused. Ethan's expression did not move. I was afraid. Silence. I thought money meant security. A faint smile touched his mouth. You were right. The words gave her hope. She nodded quickly. Yes, yes. That is why I made the wrong choice. No. His voice chilled the room. You were right that money creates security. He lifted the glass again. You were wrong about who had it. Sophia's face twisted. I loved you. Ethan drank. I did. Her tears fell faster. I still do. No, I was blinded. No, I was manipulated by Adrian stared at her. You begged me to take you. She turned on him. You promised me everything. You approached me before ending the engagement. You said Ethan was worthless. You agreed. Their voices rose again. Ethan said one sentence. Enough. The room died. Sophia turned back. Hands pressed against the floor. Please remember us. I remember everything. Hope flickered again. She mistook a memory for mercy. Ethan leaned back. You cried when your tuition was due. Sophia froze. You promised to repay me. Her lips parted. You said we were building a future. He took another drink. You used my mother's necklace to finish your education. A tremor moved through her. I did not know you sold it. You knew. Her breath stopped. He continued. You found the receipt. The room grew colder. You hid it. Sophia lowered her gaze. Ethan's voice remained steady. You watched me eat bread for weeks. I was young. You bought imported shoes. I needed them for interviews. Wore them to meet Adrian. She closed her eyes. Each word opened an old wound. Only this time the pain belonged to her. Ethan looked toward her parents. You asked me to pay the hospital bill. Her father swallowed. You were not sick. The old man began to sweat. It was complicated. You lost the money gambling. I intended to win it back. You told your daughter I was useful. Sophia looked at her father. She stared at the floor. Ethan turned to her mother. You called me family when rent was due. She shook her head. I always cared for you. You told Sophia to leave me once. Adrian noticed her. Her hands tightened around the empty box. I wanted what was best for my daughter. Ethan's smile sharpened. So did I. He looked at Sophia again. That was my mistake. She broke. A sob tore from her chest. She crawled forward until Jonah stopped her with one boot before her hands. Ethan, I will do anything. Anything? Yes. He glanced toward Marcus. Marcus placed the crushed engagement ring on the table. The bent metal caught the city lights. Sophia stared at it. Her entire body began to shake. Ethan had kept it. Not from love, as evidence. As a blade preserved for the final cut. He repeated her words exactly. This little thing? Sophia covered her mouth. Adrian's driver spends more than this on fuel. Adrian lowered his head. Ethan continued. You were useful when I had nothing. Sophia sobbed openly. Please stop. Now I have options. She pressed her forehead against the floor. Please, consider that your final contribution to my life. Her shoulders convulsed. Every insult returned, not distorted, not exaggerated, exact. The cruelty she had once delivered with a smile now crushed her spine. Ethan looked at Adrian. You offered me compensation. Adrian's lips turned pale. You said it was for taking care of Sophia until someone qualified arrived. He tried to speak. No sound came. Ethan picked up the ruined ring. He held it between two fingers. Are you qualified now? Adrian collapsed to his knees. The Blackwood patriarch stared in horror. He had never seen his son kneel. Adrian crawled forward. I will repay everything. With what? I can work. The room remained silent. I can rebuild. You cannot manage a resort without poisoning villages. Adrian flinched. I can give you information about your father. Adrian looked back. The old man's face hardened. Ethan understood before Adrian spoke. Yes, Adrian's voice cracked. I have records, offshore accounts, bribes, political payments. His father lifted the cane. You filthy coward. Adrian turned. You would sacrifice me first. The cane came down. Jonah caught it before it struck. He tore it from the old man's hand and tossed it aside. The Blackwood patriarch fell. No one helped him. He looked at Ethan from the floor. I built an empire. You inherited one. I expanded it. You hollowed it out. I can serve you. Ethan's gaze remained empty. You are old. The old man's pride shattered. I have connections. They stopped answering. I have knowledge, knows more. I have influence. You cannot enter your former hotel without permission. The old man looked around. The truth surrounded him. He owned nothing, controlled no one, inspired no loyalty. His entire identity had been a title printed on assets now bearing Ethan's name. Sophia's mother began crawling forward. We are innocent. Evelyn placed another file on the screen. Fraudulent purchases, hidden transfers, false insurance claims, threats sent to employees. Her face went gray. Sophia's brother tried to run. Jonah blocked the door. The young man immediately dropped to his knees. I did nothing. Marcus displayed records of stolen vehicles, forged signatures, violent assaults, and illegal contracts. He began crying. I was influenced by the family. His father struck him. His mother screamed. Sophia turned away. Adrian laughed. Not from joy, from madness. The room filled with blame again. Ethan allowed it. He watched them tear open every bond they had once called sacred. Love vanished, marriage vanished, blood vanished. Only self-preservation remained. At last they fell silent from exhaustion. Ethan placed the ring beside his wine. The liquidation will continue. Sophia lifted her head. No, all personal properties will be seized. Her mother screamed. All hidden assets will be recovered. The Blackwood patriarch closed his eyes. All evidence will be delivered to prosecutors. Adrian began shaking. The victims will receive compensation from the recovered funds. Evelyn nodded once. The contaminated regions will be restored. Sophia crawled forward again. What about us? Ethan looked at her. For the first time, she wished he would hate her. Hatred would have meant she still occupied space inside him. But his eyes held nothing. You chose abundance. Her breath broke. Enjoy the cost. The final petitions were denied. Security entered. Adrian resisted. He was dragged away, screaming promises, threats, and offers. His father tried to preserve dignity until the elevator doors opened to reveal reporters waiting below. Then the old man covered his face. Sophia's parents clung to one another only when cameras appeared. Her brother pushed them aside and attempted to run. He fell on the marble. People laughed. Sophia remained behind. Jonah waited. He looked at Ethan. Will you really let me die? Ethan swirled the wine. That depends on the courts, the debt, and your ability to survive without using someone. She flinched. I have nowhere to go. You threw my belongings into the street. I was angry. You ran over my mother's photograph. That was the driver. You watched. She could not deny it. I thought you would always forgive me. Ethan's smile returned. Small, merciless. That was your poorest investment. Jonah led her toward the elevator. At the door, she turned one final time. I would have stayed if I knew. Ethan met her eyes. I know. The doors closed. That answer followed her down. It destroyed the last lie she could tell herself. She had not lost Ethan because he lacked value. She had lost him because she lacked sight. The world punished them slowly. Adrian received a long prison sentence after workers, villagers, and former employees testified. His father died before trial in a guarded hospital room. No family member visited. They were too busy fighting over hidden money that no longer existed. Sophia's father was imprisoned for fraud. Her mother sold the last pieces of personal jewelry to pay legal fees, only to discover they were fake replacements. Her brother disappeared into debt and was later found dead in a cheap room after everyone he once insulted refused his calls. Sophia survived longest. That was not mercy. She worked under false names. Each time someone recognized her, the old ballroom video returned. The speech, the diamonds, the fall. Employers dismissed her. Landlords refused her. Former friends blocked her. She wrote letters to Ethan, hundreds of them. Apologies, confessions, promises. He never opened one. Years later, she died alone in a public hospital after refusing to list an emergency contact. The nurse found only one object in her coat, a printed photograph of Ethan from before the betrayal. He was smiling. She had folded the image so many times that her own face had torn away. High above the city, the celestial crown remained bright. The former Blackwood ballroom had become a foundation hall dedicated to victims of corporate abuse. The sovereign district expanded, clean energy spread. Water systems reached forgotten regions. Hospitals treated those abandoned by profit. Evelyn directed the global engineering network. Jonah commanded security across several continents. Marcus continued executing Ethan's will with flawless precision. The Trillionaire Retaliation System displayed its final notice. Registered enemies judged. The retaliation cycle complete. Sovereign wealth stable. Throne authority permanent. Ethan stood before the glass wall of his highest office. Below him, the city moved through the night. He held the crushed ring once more. Then he released it into the fireplace. The metal darkened, bent, melted. Disappeared. He poured another glass of wine. No celebration, no regret. He had not forgiven. He had not forgotten. He had simply finished. The world liked to speak of karma as though it were a patient god. Ethan knew better. Karma had no hands, no teeth, no courage. Someone had to give it a face. Someone had to tighten the rope. Someone had to decide when the throne became a scaffold. He watched the last trace of the ring vanish into flame. Then he smiled. People say wealth changes a man. His voice was soft, cold, final. It only reveals who could afford revenge.